your thoughts.
All right, we're back here. So we having some technical difficulties today, but what we wanted to do was kind of go over the Player of the Year list, and NM Preps puts out a list. I know we've talked about it in the past. We talked to La Cueva head coach Brandon Back, talked to him a little bit about Brad Thomas, his fine receiver. I really wanted to ask him that question. Hey, how's Brad going to do without all those other big names on the other side, right? But Brandon seems to think he'll fare just fine. So that'll be something to watch with Brad. Plus they're replacing a quarterback, so I know they're very, very high on their young quarterback. But I mean, to replace what Austin Smith did there,
3,000 plus yards.
Yeah, I mean
he was phenomenal.
The kid could throw it around.
Really good.
So, and actually, we have another guest here, unannounced guest. Bruce Carver, my broadcast partner, is on the air with us right now. Bruce, can you hear us?
I can hear you. What's that?
Oh, man. Bruce, it is so good to hear your voice again. It's been way too long since we've done a game together. I'm with John Chavis, our director here. And Bruce, I wanted to give you a call because what we're talking about today is kind of NM Preps put out their list of kind of guys to watch for the Mr. Football Player of the Year award. And I thought, well, who better to talk to about that than Bruce? Because, Bruce, you've seen all those guys, most of them, I would think. So, we want to talk about that a little bit. Are you up for that?
Sounds good. Sounds good. I don't know that I've done my homework, but I know enough, just enough to be dangerous.
Yes, that's the way I like it. Bruce and I are just crossing our fingers, hoping there's going to be a season, so Bruce and I can bring you the My 50 game of the week. But man, that's not looking great. Obviously, we start with a couple of the Clovis kids that are on that list of favorites, and that's some kids we got to see about 2 or 3 times, right, Bruce? Clovis, and that's Justin.
Oh yeah, you know what? They were impressive. You couldn't help but just really respect and like that to watch that football team. They were a fun team to watch. They were just a great team to call, as you and I have talked about. It was, we kind of rode the wave with them a lot.
Right. So the 2 players on that watch list are obviously quarterback Chance Harris, who is already committed to Colorado State, and then their fine running back Justin Webskowski. Let's talk about Harris first. He doesn't make a lot of mistakes, does he, Bruce? He's fun to watch.
You know what? He doesn't. He's a tough kid. He runs well. He can throw that flat pass out there 25 yards down the field and with some authority. He's definitely he's a player. Great kid. And then go from there. It's no question. He's definitely a little bit of adjustment. I would say the hardest adjustment. He just keeps getting better. I know he's really hoping there's a football season because he's got a lot of talent, man.
And sneaky quick. I mean, he can make some stuff happen with his legs as well. He can move around out of the pocket. The thing that always impressed me about him is tuck it and take those 8 yards. Just a smart kid.
Yeah, play smart. I think I see the hardest thing about the comments he made for his leader. Don't know. He said, they all kind of have the same idea like model. He's a good one, man. He's going to be hard to beat. He's going to be in the running for sure.
And obviously, what we saw of that running back Webskowski, what we saw in the in that title game, that was something else, wasn't it?
Oh man, he's special. There's no question about it. Like his size, he's a little taller.
And obviously,
kind of thin, dodges people, kind of hard. He makes himself hard to hit. Got the breakaway speed, but he can go get the tough yardage too. It was great with him and Darian, just kind of the show, not only the game itself with all the great players on the field when Cleveland and Clovis played, but the one-on-one duel between those two. One of the best I've seen, and I've seen a lot of good ones down through the years. That was pretty neat watching those two play on the same field.
Now, locally here, we haven't brought his name up much yet, but a guy and is Zach Vigil at Rio Rancho. And
you know what, Zach's a tough running back, and he he's one of these guys that he's low to the ground, really follows his blockers well. He's just he's a kind of guy that is a little kind of quiet, but you look up and he's got 160 yards. He just chews it up, and he's a smart player, really fine running back, and he's tough. And gosh, what is he now? Just
he's a junior.
He's a junior this year. Yeah, seems like he's been around for a while. We saw it as a freshman, saw him coming on. Had a great year last year. Yeah, he's a fine running back. It's going to be real interesting to see what happens over there at Rio Rancho with new coach, new programs coming in. But at the same time, he really hadn't had much time with those kids at this point.
Right. We're talking to Bruce Carver, my broadcast partner at ProView Networks, and I don't think it can be understated how important it is that Zach started every game. I mean, all that experience, all those reps. Now his third year starter on varsity, I think that's a big difference, isn't it?
There's no question. He's been around a while. Like I said, what grade's he in? I know he's been around a long time already. But he's a fantastic kid, hard-nosed running back. Not super fast, not super quick, but just gets the job done. He knows how to get yardage, man. He makes plays when they're needed. He's definitely, he's in my top 5 for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Also, top on my list is Chance Harris. I mean, what do you think about him?
No question. Of course, Cleveland. I don't know. Cleveland's got a couple of kids back. I don't know if they're on your list. The Whitestone kid, Ortega. Those are some really good, quick athletes that you just don't come across every year. And
literally, New Mexico Prep put their whole receiving core could be pretty much. Well, that's just it. Is they have so many guys now that are viable options, and now you mix in the Jensen kid that transferred from La Cueva. They have weapons at every spot. So.
Yeah, you're right. And there's just so much speed across the board there and balance. It's going to be hard for. Defensively, it's going to be hard to keep for people to match up. They got a good quarterback. They got it on. I'm going to put it on Coach Ridenhour here early. It's hard to escape that target on the back when you're, defending champion.
I mean, it's funny because, the one position where you think, okay, you know what, maybe Clovis has a pretty big advantage at running back. Well, then Cleveland gets to transfer in at that position. So, the rich get richer. But, I mean, that's got to be, anything but a championship's got to be a disappointment this year. The expectations are really that high for Heath, aren't they?
They are. There's no doubt about it. I mean, them and Clovis both, have really good talent coming back. But he's used to it, he walked into it and he's kept it. They kept that tradition going where they're, it's hard to, not only you have a lot of talent, but at the same time they've got a tremendous program. They're, as they say, expect to win, and they have those expectations.
The kid that when I saw New Mexico, when I saw NM Prep's list, the one that really jumped out of the page of me as just being a joke was when they had Jeff Davidson in the sleepers, or what do they call it? Others category.
Risers.
Like, I don't know, you'd have to be under a rock the last 2 years to put Jeff Davidson on a list like that. The guy's phenomenal. He's 19-2 as a starter. I guess he's the one that always gets overlooked, right? Since there's so many weapons there at
Darian
Cleveland.
Lewis cast such a big shadow.
Whether it be Dorian Lewis, whether it be Trey Watson, this year it's going to be, all those receivers, but I guess the guy that never gets the love is Davidson. But man, he's been rock solid, hasn't he, Bruce?
Yeah, he really has. I like his size, and he can throw it down the field long. He can throw it all over the field, and the guy is deceptively a good runner.
And you brought up his size. I think the fact that he's got some meat on his bones, it keeps him on the field. He takes a big hit. He's not going to leave injured. That's a big boy.
Yeah, he is. And you saw him on the basketball floor. He's not a skinny kid. He's strong, and he's pretty dang strong. Yeah, he's been around. Those of us who keep up with it know who he is.
I mean, 19 and 2. That's all you got to say. 19 and 2 is the starter.
Not enough said. I just think it's probably one of those situations where he's had some really good big names around him, like Dorian. Sometimes even Trey Ortega, Wysong. Both those kids. Some people know who they are, but at the same time, everybody was kind of behind Dorian as far as the publicity that he got, and he's one of the best running backs to come out of the state, I think.
But the conversation I was having with John, our director, was, there's been all those other guys, the publicity guys, like you said, but those few games where Jeff has been called upon to win, take the Clovis game you and I called, Bruce. He had to make every throw. That was a shootout until the very end. He had to make every throw in that game. Whoever made the mistake was going to lose. He delivered. There was that game, I don't know if it was this year or last year, against Artesia, where it turned into a shootout, where he had to make the throws. So, where he hasn't had to carry them to victory very often, but when his number has been called, like that Clovis game you and I called, he made every single throw, Bruce.
Yeah, and he made a couple of plays that they were, if he didn't make those plays, they finally would have got stopped. I think one of them I remember in particular, it was either 3rd and long or 4th and long. 3rd and 20, something like that. It did. Clovis had finally looked like they were going to get a stop, but he steps up and they handle a touchdown. I don't know if you remember the play.
I do.
He delivered, man.
Yeah, exactly. So he hasn't had to showcase often, but when he's had to, he's stepped up.
No question. He's looking at a big year, and like everything else, if they can stay, these kids you're talking about, if they can stay healthy and have a football season, they're going to have an exceptional football season, no doubt.
Any other names that you think that you want to bring up?
Well, I wanted to bring up the kid from La Cueva, but evidently he's not going to be playing for La Cueva.
Yeah, he'll be at Cleveland Storm.
Because, he was definitely, one of the top running backs coming back.
Right.
Eldorado's got some kids back. They had a mediocre year for Eldorado. But they do have some kids back, and I think both the running backs are back, and they're not bad. They're pretty good. I think of those two guys coming back, and I don't know, there's a lot of good players around the city, man. But some of the Clovis kids and Cleveland kids, talent-wise, and so in B-Hill too, it's going to be hard to top that list.
Yeah, the upper echelon this year of talent. You just take those two rosters, for example, and then you sprinkle in a few others. It's pretty, it's pretty phenomenal, that upper echelon of talent. I know a lot of people like the quarterback in Las Cruces,
Marcos
Lopez.
Right, coach's son.
Right, didn't get a chance to see him last year. I did see him the year before that, where he did not have too good of an outing whenever I saw him. But a quarterback's always in a good position to win that award. I do think that the only thing that would stop Davidson for winning this award, other than injury, would be if Heath runs the ball a ton. And I was having that discussion with someone earlier today. If Heath wanted to go full pass attack, Mike Leach, like they did in Hobbs. Do you remember Hobbs? I have to mention Hobbs in every conversation I have with you, Bruce. But you remember Hobbs a couple of years ago with Gavin Hardison, where they just decided to throw it all over the field, and he threw for like 5,000 yards because all they did was throw. I think if Coach Ridenauer were to do that, Davidson could rack up those same yards.
Yeah, you know what? He would pile on some amazing stats if they decided to go that route.
But you're never going to see Coach Ridenauer go that one-dimensional. Yeah, I know.
No, he likes to throw it. He likes to throw it and swing it around. There's no doubt about that. But hey, he's going to do what he has to move the chains and just stay balanced. Balanced teams win championships, right? I think teams that are balanced, when it really comes down to it, you're going to need a running game, you're going to need a passing game, because the good defenses. They're going to stop one-dimensional offenses. It's just like when you're talking about with Hobbs. Well, they piled up some amazing stats with Hardison. He did a great job. But that only took them so far when they ran up against a really good team.
Right.
You know?
Lastly, you and I got to cover the Los Lunas championship game against Roswell, and that brings me to Tyler Keeney, who's on that list. Obviously, he's already committed to UCLA. You know, they had that great 1-2 punch of pass rushers last year when they had Keeney on one side, Bryce Santana on the other. Santana's graduated. Keeney's back now for another year. I think it's going to be a huge year because last year, pretty much, you know, when Coach Maupin and his defensive staff, when they wanted to dial up a blitz, kind of, Bryce and Tyler kind of shared the sacks. Well, I think Tyler's going to get most of them this year. So I think a monster year coming for Tyler Keeney. Hard for a defensive player to win that award, but I mean, I think Tyler's definitely has to be in that conversation. What do you think, Bruce?
You know what? I've heard his name a lot, and of course, the kid that got the scholarship this year coming out of Los Lunas. I didn't get to see him play. I didn't have that game. I don't remember the history behind it. What happened that night, Sebastian?
Oh, that's right. You got my bet. You got promoted that day. You did the 6A game with Adam and Chris. That's right.
Oh yeah, there you go.
You got promoted that day. That's why you weren't with me.
That's right. But, so I miss seeing them in person, but I know the kid's really good, and you're right. It seems like it's hard for a defensive player to win it, you know. But he's going to get his due for sure.
I know that because my son is Aiden Chavez, and his first cousin plays for Los Lunas, and they're already thinking about how the Mayfield effect of them coming down into that classification, how that's going to change the dynamics. And Los Lunas is going through a rebuilding phase as far as from an offensive standpoint. I know a kid from Valley that played JV is going to probably be their quarterback. You know, so they're going to have sort of an unknown coming in at quarterback. You know,
well, they're replacing 8 seniors on each side of the ball, starters.
I know.
36
They were
total.
Loaded, yeah. No, we played them in Los
no
Angeles,
doubt.
and they were tough.
Well, I think you're right in that. You know, we had Mayfield in the playoff game. Who beat them?
Volcano Vista.
Yeah, Volcano. I mean, they had their hands full. They had their hands full with Mayfield, but they're a couple plays away from winning the football game. Would have been a huge upset. But I think it's a shot in the arm for them dropping down a class, and they're going to be tough, man. They just bring that whole mentality, you know. They bring that whole mentality, and they see this. I'm sure they see this as, you know, their vision of a state title. We'll see, but he's a heck of a coach. Great program. They're going to be tough, man.
Yeah,
hard-nosed kids. Hard-nosed.
I can easily envision, again, Roswell and Mayfield.
Roswell, I mean, I don't... Man, Jeff Lynn, you talk about great coaches. What he's done there at Roswell has been phenomenal. All right, Bruce, I'm going to put you in the spot right here before we let you go. If you had to cast a ballot today, your preseason pick for Mr. Football Player of the Year, who would you go for?
I'm going to go with Jeff Davidson. I think he's... With the people around him, you're going to really see his talent come out. Now, you know, if he was on a mediocre team, he's on a really good team, and he's a really good quarterback, I think he's really going to stand out big time. So I'll go with the quarterback from Cleveland.
I like it, Bruce. Hey, it's good to hear your voice, man. It's good to catch up, and hopefully you and I will be doing the My 50 Game of the Week if we have a season. I'm looking forward to that.
I hear you, man. I'm excited. Can't wait. Appreciate it.
Thanks
a lot, Bruce. And Rod Williams is ready to call in.
All right, so that was Bruce Carver, my broadcast partner. Great guy. Man, road trips with Bruce are a lot of fun. Let me tell you that right now.
Are you calling?
No, I'm gonna share this real quick because I was having that audio problem when I tried to share while I was doing the phone. But man, Bruce, he knows his football, man. Every broadcast does his homework. He talks to the coaches the night before. So, great guy. I know Bruce is, he's got his pulse on that whole Cleveland Rio Rancho situation. But I'm with him, man. I think this might be the year where Davidson finally gets his due. But we're going to talk to Rod Williams, former Del Norte alum, proud Knight. Rod Williams is on the line now. Hey, Rod, thanks for calling, Coach.
Hey, thanks for having me. And yeah, it's great to be a former Knight. I love being a Knight, and we do it the right way, the night way.
There you go, man. I always love hearing that. The right way, the night way, man. You're not gonna. Did you hear who's back at the castle teaching? Dan Sparago is back at Del Norte. How about that?
Man, I have so many stories
Me too,
about
but
Dan. And
none of them I could tell on this show in public. So
no, he would still he would come get me. I mean, he almost beat me up when I was a freshman in high school, and I'm still afraid of him since that day. So,
hey, what freshman hasn't he almost beat up, right?
say that again.
What freshman hasn't he almost beat up, right? That's the rite of passage there at Del Norte. Hey, we're kind of talking. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, yeah, he had several reasons to do it, and they were all justified, and I'm just glad he never did it.
We're talking a little bit NM Prep's Player of the Year kind of award. The consensus today, whether it had been Brandon Back, who called earlier, my broadcast partner Bruce Carver just called, myself, we all don't think there's going to be a season as far as we normally are used to, the normal part of the calendar. We might see it in the spring, but we figured, hey, since we don't think there's going to be any games, let's just talk about Player of the Year anyway. And one of your guys, man, is turning some heads. I guess when you make your freshman debut and you throw for like 1,000 yards. And you have a head of hair like that, yeah, people are going to talk about you. And that's your young quarterback, man, Aiden Chavez. So talk about your guy first. Let's get that first thing.
Oh, yeah. So this is an exciting topic. I like to just talk football like anytime, man. I'm a football junkie, and so there's so much talent here in New Mexico. But, yeah, I'd love to talk about Aiden. I mean, you talk about a guy he's doing all the right things to put himself in a position to have a very successful year. And, I heard a long time ago when I was younger coming up that, the guys who are the best to put in the most work, they get up early, they do the things that other people don't want to do, and he's that guy. And so he had a really good start to his high school career as a freshman and did some really good things and gained some experience. And he's going to continue to gain experience, but he does everything that he can to accelerate his abilities and put himself in a spot to make his team successful. And he's such a team player and a team guy. And from the guy that maybe is the least known on the team to the most popular guy, I mean, he's a friend of him. He's a good teammate to him, and he just does everything right. And I'm just proud to be his coach, and I'm thankful to have him in our program. And I love what he's doing. But yeah, he's special. There's no doubt about that.
We talked to Bruce earlier about how important it was for Zach Vigil to get all those reps, as a freshman, as an underclassman. Obviously, the very same thing applies to Aiden here. How important is it, especially at that position, quarterback, to see the speed, physicality, and just overall experience of varsity football as a freshman? How important is that?
Oh, I mean, it's such a rare deal where you see that. I mean, it's become a little bit more prevalent, but it takes a special type of kid to do that because, like you said, I mean, there's a huge difference in a teenager's body between 14 and 18, and so when you're playing against 18-year-olds and you're 14, 15 years old, that's a big deal, and you got to learn the speed of the game. I mean, you're essentially coming out of Yaffle football, which is a totally different thing, and now you're playing against the best players in the state in what I would consider a very, very tough district and really competitive district. So he was, he was able to learn a lot, and he took some hits, and I was always just shocked, like amazed by how tough he was, and I kept hearing, he's tougher than you think, Coach. He's tougher, and he proved it. I mean, there's times where, he put his head down and had to go get some yards, scrambling around, or took a shot or whatever, and he got up, and I'm looking over there to see, oh man, do I need to get the backup going? And no, he's ready to go for the next play. Just give me another play, Coach. And he's a tough cookie. But the biggest thing is you get a lot of experience, and you just got to see the speed of the game and see what they're about. And then the game slows down for you, and you're able to start making more plays. And then he asserted himself more as he went on. And much like Zach, we played against him when he was a freshman, and I've watched him quite a bit. And he's just tough, and you can see they get better as the season goes on because they start to pick it up and the speed and the physicality of the game.
Now that you've had a season, some honest reflection, when you ran him out there that first night against Sandia, I mean, What was going through your head? You already play in the toughest district in the state. You already play the toughest schedule in the state, and now you're having to run a freshman quarterback out there. What was going through your mind before that game?
We were ready. He was ready. It was a deal where we knew who we were going against and what we were playing against, and I just wanted to put him in a position where he had every chance to use his abilities and protect him and not throw him to the wolves and just require too much of him. But we had a simple game plan that we worked over and over, and it was an effective deal for him. He felt really prepared, and me and him talk sometimes, and sometimes we go back to that first game and we talk about, and we want to be prepared this week just like that game. And so, for me, I wasn't nervous at all for him. It was more, let's make sure we're putting him in the right positions to make plays.
Well, John, how nervous were you that week or that night?
I was fired up. I mean, the week before when we got the sort of nervousness out when we scrimmaged Manzano, and that was pretty fortunate because very similar types of systems. And I mean, he still threw in the 70% completion in the scrimmage. So the nerve part was really in that first game against Manzano when he came out, but that's just it. Is he's always been confident, and he always has that little bit of chip on his shoulder, just learning from his older brothers and just eating. Like today, him and I, we watched 2 hours of football on Coach's Caviar. That we watched all these different concepts, and we work on those things. So the nerves weren't so bad. It was just more, just keep executing and seeing things. So.
Rod, one of the things I asked Brandon about when we were talking about his guy, Brad Thomas, was, Brandon mentioned a lot of those other receivers that have gone through there, Prince Robertson, Connor O'Toole, the list goes on and on and on. And the question I asked Brandon was, hey, how is Brad going to do this year when he doesn't have that big name on the other side? So a very similar question to you. Okay, no surprises this year. The film's out on this kid. No one's going to overlook him this year. I would imagine that would be the biggest hurdle this season, right, is that everyone's game planning for Aiden Travis now.
Yeah. I mean, obviously that's the way the game is designed, that, when there's something new or there's somebody new, eventually they're going to figure out a way to try to be more competitive against you and stop what you're doing. And, but I kind of look at the progression of what he's done in this off season, and just, that growth is going to help him carry him along with the progression of the team and the players. A lot of guys got experience last year offensively, and they know each other, and they've had a lot of time together, and so they're going to know. Yeah, that's not going to be a secret, but he's a special kid. He's a talent, and he's going to do everything it takes to combat that and be successful.
I think you kind of answered most of my next question, and that's what I was going to ask: is what are you doing and what is he doing to make sure that he's immune to that sophomore slump, that it's not going to happen?
Yeah, it's a matter of really. For me, it's his intelligence. That's one thing that sets him apart. He's such an intelligent kid, and in the classroom and on the football field, and that's the biggest thing, is just making sure he understands the field. The defense is more. Last year it was just more putting him in positions where you didn't have to read as much, and it was we wanted to take advantage of certain things, and sometimes you throw some RPOs and things like that, but. Now that's one of the biggest things he's done, is he's continuing to work on his mental ability, understanding the game and what defenses are doing, and reading books. I've given him books that I read and he reads, and of course his dad reads. And
well, so, a little worried as to what books his dad might be giving him, but that's a whole nother show.
R4, baby.
Just quarterback books, just to understand what the picture of the defense, and but that he's doing the mental part, but also one of the big things is just continuing to develop your footwork.
Well, what does that do to your playbook, Rod? What does that do to your playbook when you have such a cerebral kid as a young quarterback? I mean, I would imagine this playbook is going to get bigger and bigger each year he's there, right?
Well, I wouldn't say it's going to get bigger. I think if it gets bigger,
well, it opens up options, I should say, for you, right? When you have that smart of a kid at quarterback.
It does. Sometimes, I've been guilty of overdoing things and having too much on the plate, and so I definitely want to scale back, especially if we're going to have a season, and it's going to be a shorter preparation time. But, and what it does, there's been times where, we've had a lot of good quarterbacks this season. I mean, we have a rich tradition of quarterbacks, and sometimes I think that's overlooked. But each one of them had a different skill set, and, he's kind of a mixture of all of them together, because he has some running ability. He can throw the ball. He's very accurate, and then he's very smart. And so, what it does is it allows you to throw things on the fly at him. There's sometimes in a game or an adjustment that, hey, let's do this. We're seeing this, I'm seeing this. Or he'll come to me and tell me, hey, coach, we got to do this because it's the way this DB's playing or whatever it might be. Or they're opening up the box. And it just allows you to throw more at the kid in a shortened time period. Sometimes certain players, you don't want to do that because it's too much, and then you end up kicking yourself because you knew you were the one that was wrong. You wasn't the player; you just hadn't worked it. But he's a kid that's smart enough that maybe we didn't work it enough that he could pick that up and utilize it in a game or in a practice situation.
All right, enough about your guy, Rod. Let's talk about some of the other guys on that list. We'll stay in your district for a moment. Obviously, some favorites out of Cleveland to possibly win that award. Jeff Davidson was on the sleeper list, which, don't get me started on how ridiculous that is, that anyone thinks that kid's a sleeper. But let's talk about that. Jeff Davidson will obviously be a player there. Trey Watson, although I do think it's very hard to win that award as a receiver. But we'll talk about those kids.
Yeah, they're blessed to have a lot of talent coming back, and they get a lot of talent year in and year out, and they got a good thing going on over there. But this year is for them is a unique year in which they do have three really good receivers and DBs. They all play basically in the secondary as well, and so anytime you get several good receivers, you got to look at the quarterback. And you look at the quarterback and you say, wow, can you get the ball to him? What can he do? And he's a guy that definitely can do that. He's got tons of experience. We've been talking about experience. And, one of the things, I've watched him over the years, and one of the things that makes him great is he extends the play. It looks like they have him, and then he just kind of will spin out of it, be running the wrong way, and then throw it across the field the other way, 50 yards down the field, and there's, Wysong or Ortega, and it's a huge play for them at the time they needed it. So he's great at extending plays, and I think when you have that many good receivers, you got to be a front runner for a Mr. Football candidate.
Clovis kids getting attention for that obviously are Justin Webskowski, Chance Harris. Chance has already committed to Colorado State. Two pretty special pieces down there in Clovis too.
Yeah, definitely. And I guess I probably didn't talk about the Cleveland receivers enough, but they're all super talented, fast, strong, big. They're good all the way around. So. But I do think, going back real quick, just that the quarterback would be the one in that list because he's going to be getting the ball to them. But I will tell you that I watched film quite a bit. In the beginning of the year last year, I saw Chance Harris. I'd never heard of him before. And I watched film, and I'm like, what in the world? This guy is phenomenal. He's running around, and what he does well is he just has so much wrist flick. He just spins that ball really well. He's in a situation and he throws in-breaking routes great. You see him on a post and you're like, wow. He runs the RPOs great. Their offense is really good, and he does everything that he runs well. So, honestly, man, he's really impressed me. So I watched more and more film on him, and I guess if I had to choose an overall guy that I thought might be the front runner overall would be Harris for sure. As much as Webskowski is awesome, he's one of the great backs to come out in the next season. He's going to have a phenomenal year. And I'm really, really impressed with their guys, for sure.
Yeah, you can't go wrong with Chance. I was talking, Bruce, we had Bruce Carver on just a moment ago before you called, and the thing I was talking to Bruce about is what impresses me about Chance is he seems to always, he takes what the defense gives him, whether that's 8 yards or he might, like you said, run around and break one off, but doesn't make a lot of mistakes. He can make all those off-balance throws. He's another guy, like you mentioned with Davidson, you think as a defender, he's got to be frustrating as hell to play against because you think he's right there in your grasp, but next thing you know, it's a big play for Clovis.
Yeah, I think, that they're similar, and I just think one thing that stands out for me about Chance Harris is that, he'll put it in small windows. You might be playing really good deep, but he's going to put it somewhere where his receivers are going to make plays, and it's just tough to deal with when you got a guy that just drops dimes everywhere, but he throws really fast and accurate as well. He spins it well.
Another candidate that's got some love on that website is the quarterback at Las Cruces, Marcos Lopez. Thoughts on him?
Yeah, the thing that right away that jumps off to me is that he is a true, tried and true Las Cruces Bulldog quarterback. I mean, the way they groom those guys, the mannerisms, the leadership they always display, he's that. He's the epitome of that, and that's a good thing. I mean, they have a great program, and he's just that. He grew up around that program. Obviously, his dad is the head coach, and they have a good team. So he's definitely gonna have a great year, and it wouldn't surprise me either if he was the top guy. So, phenomenal player.
Finally, I know it's difficult for a defensive player to win that award, but I think Tyler Keeney is going to be in that conversation at the end. He split all those sacks and all those tackles for losses last year with Bryce Santana. I think every time Coach Maupin dials up a blitz this year, it's going to be Tyler coming, so he could have a monster season. Is it realistic to think that a defensive player could win that in Tyler Keeney? UCLA bound Tyler Keeney?
I love good defensive players, and he is definitely a good one. And it's just so much harder to win it from that spot. It's at every level, it's a kind of a quarterback-driven type deal, and but he's tough to deal with, and then the classification, everything he's going to be involved with. I mean, he could do some things we haven't seen. So, but he's right up there with all the good DNs that have come out over the years. And he's right there, and I see him really having a dominant year, and I wouldn't. That'd be cool to see a defensive guy thrown in there.
I saw him 2 weeks ago at CNN West, and he was catching passes from their new quarterback, so he might throw in a couple wrinkles.
Right.
Yeah.
Definitely athletic enough to be a tight end or wherever they're putting
he's
him.
a basketball player as well, and plus with Santana graduating, that Rhino package, probably Tyler's going to see the ball now a lot. We didn't talk about we didn't talk about Zach Vigil, who's in your district. Obviously, he's young, but man, all that experience, is this the year where he maybe reaches up and grabs some hardware at the end of the year and gets that honor?
Yeah, with him, it was a deal where we played them in a game that we really felt like we should have came out on top 2 years ago, and I just kept thinking in my mind, like, man, we are hitting that running back. We are hitting him over and over and over, and he's still getting up, and he's running hard, and he's making plays. And then they told me later he's a freshman, and I couldn't believe it. Yeah. I couldn't believe that guy was a freshman.
I think he kind
of we gave him some of our better players.
He did.
Yeah, we had some really athletic guys and some good defenders, and they were all over him, and it didn't seem to affect him. And you watch him play, a lot of his games, and he just keeps his cool. He just keeps plugging away, and before you know it, he's got 4 touchdowns, and he's rushed for 180 yards on you, and you're kind of like, dang, man. And he's bigger than you think. He's so hard-nosed, and he's got deceptive speed, and so he's the total package. There's no doubt. I mean, that's a great player, and just another good one. And there's so much talent here in New Mexico, and I love it. And I hope all these guys keep getting offers, and New Mexico shines on the map. And he keeps doing what he's doing, and he'll definitely get the offers coming in.
All right, we're going to put you on the spot here before we let you go. We'll make it easy for you. You can't vote for your own kid, so we'll give you that out. So if you had to have a preseason pick right now, who would you pick?
For me, I would pick Chance Harris. I think the combination, that duo they have, is just so tough, and they've got a lot of other players around them. And I had heard maybe their line could be similar, but not real sure. But just those kids are so tough, and just what his skill set, I think, puts him as the front runner. But it would be like a 1A type, 1 and 1A type deal with him and Jeff Davidson. There's so much talent for the receiver spot for Davidson if they decide to throw it a little bit more. All
right, Coach. We appreciate your time. Like always, you always make time for us. And, good luck this year, whenever the year will start. Good luck.
Hey, yeah, I appreciate that. It's always fun to come on here, and you guys are doing a great job, and I hope the show continues to expand and good for New Mexico and New Mexico football.
Thanks, Coach. Appreciate you.
Thanks, Coach.
All right, so we're 2 for 2. 2 quarterbacks have been picked, Davidson and Harris, right? Mm-hmm. And I gotta, we'll have our list here in a moment, and I gotta tell you, I do. My list is pretty quarterback heavy too.
So Adam Deal will, I guess, break the tie. You're gonna try to get him on.
Yeah, we're gonna see if he can. He's not really good at returning texts or phone calls, so this is really a 50-50 shot here.
Mike Hawk Pumps says, "Why are you so sweaty?"
Me?
I get it. I
don't
get it.
I know us, yeah. I am. Adam will break that tie for hopefully, but you know what? He might not, because he might. He's a Rio Rancho alum and a Rio Rancho fanboy, so he might go that route. You just never know.
Huh.
Let's kind of get into our list while we wait for Adam, man. What top 5 wise? What are you thinking? What are you from 5 to 1? What are you thinking?
Definitely. I think I definitely put those 2 quarterbacks probably 1 and 2, just because of their team potential and they're going to be able to score a lot of points, both of those teams. And it wouldn't at all shock me if those 2 teams were in the finals for the state championship. I don't think that's out of the realm. Returning play. We haven't even talked about Phillips, the kid that committed to the Lobos. Right. That's their tight end, and I remember watching him on film last year, and I was like, oh my Lord, he's just a massive tight end that just gets in space, and he's probably a basketball player, and he just goes up and gets every ball. So they have weapons to return. Really 3 D1 guys on the offensive side. Plus, I'm sure they have guys coming up. So it's hard for me not to put Chance at the top of the list. Jeff Davison, I've watched him for 2 years. To me, he'll hit wide open receivers. He's just not, I think, like a system quarterback to where you're going to hit underneath or you're going to hit tight windows. I think that's what puts Chance a little bit over him. And it's evident by offers or rumblings. You just don't see Davison getting those things. So.
Right. Well, and there could be a myriad of reasons for that.
And there are.
So exactly. Reasons that we're not going to cover.
Yeah.
We're just going to talk about how great of a football player he is.
Yeah. So, but he's a winner. So that part, and when you have athletes all around you, that helps. So it definitely puts him, just like Coach Williams says, 1A, 1B. So, but I definitely put Zach Vigil, and I think with Rio Rancho having uncertainty in their quarterback position, Mr. Football last year was the Rio Rancho quarterback. So they're having to replace him, and he was like 80% of their offense, and the other part was Zach Vigil. So Zach Vigil is definitely going to get a lot more attention and a lot more people in the box. What will they be able to do with it? And the big question mark for them is their new quarterback, and I think his name's Joey Cave. How is he going to make that move from being a JV quarterback to now being the varsity guy at one of the elite programs in the state of New Mexico?
Right. All right, who's your number 5?
Number 5, I have to. I'm going to go put Brad Thomas in that group. Put him as number 5. Okay. And I'm not going to put my son in there. So,
my number 5 is going to be Vigil.
Okay. My number 4, Marcos Lopez. Yeah. No, I'm going to change. I'll change that. My number 4 would be Zach Vigil.
Okay. My number 4 is going to be Chance Harris. I just think the reason I have him that low is they just have something so special there with Webskowski. I just think statistically, the comparison between Davidson and Harris will be way off, only because I think Cleveland's going to throw it so much more. You got a guy like Webskowski. He's the best running back in the state. You could argue he was last year. You're going to run the ball a ton.
So you think Harris? Davidson will have more yards than
stats will be eye-popping for Davidson
versus Harris.
Just because they're going to throw it more. then it's not a slight on Harris whatsoever. But I just think Webskowski's going to get a ton of carries. So that's my 4. And who was yours? You said Vigil, right?
Vigil, yeah.
Okay. All right, so we're at 3.
I'm putting Webskowski there.
Okay. I have Davison at 3. So I think he'll be the
You're taking a dark horse in your top 1 and 2. Huh?
He's going to be ahead of the class for quarterbacks, no doubt in my mind there.
Yeah.
So, all right, we're into the top 2. Who do you got number 2?
2, I have Jeff Davison.
Okay. I have Webskowski at number 2. I think you could make the argument that he was the best running back last year. You couldn't go wrong with Dorian, but Webskowski, I think, was just as special. If those guys swap places, and Webskowski played at Cleveland, and Webskowski was on ProView every week, and Webskowski was in the city, the state would have thought he was the number 1. And that's no knock on Dorian. I love Dorian Lewis at his game. I just think, those Clovis kids, sometimes they get overlooked. And what I saw that night in that semifinal, I haven't seen since Ronnie Daniels.
Yeah, no, he's special. He definitely special. He has that. Once he gets past the linebacker, he just makes the safety miss, and he takes it to the house. He had 300 yards or something ridiculous in that game. I know. Yeah, no, he's amazing.
And your number 1, Mr. Football,
Chance Harris.
Chance Harris. Yeah, you can't go wrong there, man. Those are 2 special quarterbacks. And that leaves my number 1 with Tyler Keeney.
Really? Yeah, you are going.
I just think I was looking at some of the stats that him and Bryce combined for last year. And I think this year, since it's not a 2-headed monster, I could see him just have this year like no other as a defender. And what's the number sack-wise you think where you would consider a defensive player as the player of the year?
Wow. See, that's just it. I don't know what the sack record is for the state of New Mexico.
I don't either.
Yes, that's just it. I just know him from our game and watching him be a freaking nightmare. Right. Just silly, man amongst middle school boys trying to freaking block him, and it was.
So when you had the 2-headed monster, right, 1 on each side,
he was still way more dominant.
But now you're going to see just 1,
and
I think you're going to see him just run crazy over there.
That's what's so crazy is in the pro game when you have a dominant pass rusher, you develop, that chip technique, and you're bringing the back to trying to chip on him. Man, to me, high school isn't that evolved, or you have to be, because you have to double that. Because we tried to get our best offensive tackle against him, and our best offensive tackle got eaten up. He was in the backfield all game long, hitting aid. I think he put him on the ground 6 times.
And then I think another thing is, with the Rhino package that Coach Moffitt runs,
all game long,
right, with defenders getting the ball. Now, let's say he has a monster year defensively, right? 16 to 18 sacks, God knows how many tackles for loss. What if you add to that 10 offensive touchdowns all of a sudden?
I know. I saw him like I said. he was up on my neck of the woods catching passes. Do they have the quarterback that gets the ball to him? That's another question mark. So
well, they do have a very creative play caller though in Jeremy Moffett. So and I think Tyler also becomes the favorite for the Gatorade Award because a little more politics in that award. And they love to see a kid that's already got a big D1 offer. And he's going to UCLA.
Yeah.
So, but man, I mean, those are, you talk about the top 5, and even you go down to all those mentionables. I mean, I know I didn't have Lopez on my list, and God only knows how many yards your son's going to throw for this year. I mean, the talent level is pretty good, man. I do think there's a drop off after all these kids.
Oh yeah. Oh.
But the top, it looks good. I hope there's a season because this could be, we got some talented young kids, and it's not just seniors either. Your son's got a ways to go. Zach's young. I know LaQuava, they're high on their quarterback. Exodus, who knows what he's going to end up doing?
Yeah, I think he'll be that. What they wanted Prince to be. That run. What Jordan Bird used to do.
Right.
I think he'll fill that role because when he played youth, he played quarterback, but I know he doesn't want to play quarterback anymore, which I wouldn't at all be surprised for him to line up back there and run some Wildcat.
Right.
and we play them game one. So
So you're ready for anything.
yeah, we've been watching a ton of film on it. So
Well, whenever week one is, we don't know. But I sure hope we get started. I want to thank Brandon Back. Coach Back, always good with his time. Coach Williams, great with his time. And my broadcast partner there, Bruce Carver. And another no-show for Adam Deal. Big surprise there, huh?
oh, he didn't return. Yeah. So that was a fun show. You know, Coach Back. Sorry, we got cut you off, but we wanted your opinion. But even just him giving some insight about, COVID and and even him talking about his kid. And we've tried to get Brad on here, but Brad works in the evening, so it's been hard. He's definitely a kid that we want to get on here and get on the show. And pretty much all of these kids, we really want to give them a platform to be able to tell their story, to also reflect on their parts their parents played, and what it means to them and what their plans are. So,
and in closing, we're gonna have to flag this. Put a little asterisk by this broadcast, and we might need it at the end of the season to play it back.
Oh,
see how
who
good
was
we
correct.
sound, or
Yeah.
how far off we were.
predictions. Yeah.
I mean, I know I went off on a limb there. I mean, I don't think a lot of guys are going to pick a defensive player to be player of the year, but I really think if one could do it, it would be him.
No, he's a nightmare. He really is. I watched him a bunch recently on film, and I was like, oh my god.
And then those two quarterbacks, man, are Davidson and Harris.
And we play him.
Special. Well, you guys play everybody. We need to talk to Rod about his schedule.
Oh, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculously
It's
hard.
ridiculous. So we travel to Cruces. We play El Dorado. We play Los Lunas, thankfully here, and then we play Highland. But Highlands, they're rebuilding their program. But and then we open with La Cueva.
Right.
That's non-district.
Yeah, so there you go. If there's a non-district.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
Yeah, so.
I know. I hope there is, because
Yeah.
I'd love to play La Cueva game one. So.
Well, John, great show. If you're watching this on the rewatch later this week and you have your own thoughts, man, type those into the comments. Even
Absolutely,
post show, we'd like to see what your opinions are. You guys
Give
have
us your list, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Give us your list. Or you know what? If you're listening, I know I have some friends down south, not a lot because I've alienated most of them. But
Ours was Clovis. We gave a lot of love to Clovis.
But I know if I have any friends in Cruces that are watching, you can give me the business if you want in the comments section. You guys have anything planned for Thursday's show?
I haven't talked to Coach yet about that, so we haven't chance
right.
to promo
Well,
that one. But I know we're definitely in the future here. We're working on getting some of the Lobo coaches in here, and then we'll continue. I think it was great for us to be able to call a couple coaches. Definitely talk to Keith and see what his situation is, and definitely like to hear what he has to say, especially with all these large expectations sitting on his shoulders.
Coach Ridenauer was supposed to join us today, but he had an accident, you could say. I showed John the picture. He introduced one of his fingers to a table saw
And did not win.
And that picture was a bloody mess. So
Table saw 1.
yeah, Coach Ridenauer 0. So he'll join us next time when he's feeling a little better, because that was not a pretty sight when he sent me that picture. Great show, John. Thanks for watching, everybody.
Thanks for that, bearing with us with the technical difficulties.
absolutely.
I had to go reboot the router, and that was, I don't know what happened. So
If you're close to the grill, you got 17 minutes to get down here and order a steak. Good night, everybody.
Done the sequence. All right, thanks a lot.